If you continue to stare at your outgoing expenses, let me tell you what's going to happen. Here's the thing. Number one, what you focus on expands. So what that means is you're staring at your expenses and you're looking at it at a way like, oh my gosh, this money is going out. I don't have enough. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to pay this. If you're experiencing shame when you see it, if it's not looking like, okay, this is what I want to manifest, stop looking at it. That doesn't mean we're going to bury our head in the sand. That doesn't mean we're not going to pay attention to our outgoing expenses. Here's what it does mean. It means we're going to lighten it up. It means that we are going to look at it, become aware of it, and maybe write it down somewhere and then forget about it. You're going to go ahead and feel into the idea, or go ahead and just decide that these are going to be paid, and you're going to then not look at it again. Why? Because you don't need to stare at what needs to go out or the money leaving. What we want to focus on is the money coming in. Here's how I go about doing this. I suggest something like a whiteboard. I like a whiteboard because I like to delete it. I like to erase it. I like to see the things disappearing. You could do this in a journal. You can do this on a piece of paper if that makes you feel better, and crossing it out. Whatever makes you feel good is what I suggest to do. When I do this on a whiteboard, I go ahead and write down the expenses. That I don't write down every little thing. If it's Netflix, I don't write that down because that's not something that I'm concerned with when I see it come out. But my bigger expenses, I do write them down. So I write them down on a whiteboard, and I just leave them there. Do I stare at them every time I come in the room? No. Do I put them in an office somewhere I don't go and stare at 24/7, but it's there. It might even be on the side wall. It might not be in front of my face, but I just set the intention, okay, this is what I'm manifesting. This is what I'm attracting. This is what's going to happen. And therefore, I just do my good work. I just go ahead and feel into the possibilities. When I go ahead and I move through my life, I just go ahead and live my life. I don't focus on anything else. I don't experience shame over it. I don't shame myself over it. I don't guilt myself over spending money on a latte. I don't do any of that. What I just do is I do the actions that have previously bought me in money before. I feel into the feelings that money is always there to support me. I'm already grateful that money is there to support me. I'm looking like this, oh my gosh, this always just works itself out. So therefore, if something comes and an extra bill comes out, I'm not too worried about that. I know what I'm bringing in for these things. An additional expense going out doesn't change that. Latte won't affect that. I am focused on today and today only. And when I'm focused on today, I don't even think about that. But here's what happens. As the money comes in, I'm like, oh my gosh, this money just showed up. Maybe it was $300. Maybe it was $400. Cool. I go ahead, I take my cash out, or I go ahead and pay this thing in such gratitude and abundance. And I am feeling into the feelings like, oh my gosh, I knew this was done. This feels so good. I'm so grateful to pay that thing. I'm so grateful for that expense. I'm so grateful for what that expense gives me. And then I cross it off. I cross it off my board, or I delete it I wipe it off of my board. And then I feel into the gratitude of it going down, me seeing them go away. Even if I get part of the expense and not the whole expense, I cross out the number and change the number, and I can see it going down beside it. It gives me such a positive vibration just to see it that way. It gives me such a positive feeling to see it moving, to see it working. Then I'm tapped into the energy of it's fucking working. I knew it was going to work. I knew it was working all the time. I knew I was supported. This is such evidence. This is so cool. I get to see this happen. Good things always happen to me. Good things always flow to me. Money is always supporting me. And as I do that, the money does exactly what I think it's going to do. That's the thing. It was always going to work. It's always doing what I expect it to do. If you expect it not to come in, if you expect your money to go down that month, if you expect to not be able to pay all your bills, it's still freaking working. It's still working. It's just working in a way that isn't serving you. You are creating exactly what you thought you did. You are creating exactly what you thought you would. So you were right. You were right all along. You're going to be right every time. But it's like, how do you want to be right? So hopefully this will help you. So if you want to borrow this practice and tap into this when you're doing your expenses and your outgoing. Now, I tend to do this once a month. But as I get a new expense or something, I do add it there. Like, and then I erase or delete. I say delete because I'm on the computer all the time. I erase what has already been done, or I cross it off, whatever feels good to you. And I'm still seeing that movement there. I'm still feeling the gratitude there. I'm still feeling hopeful there. And that is in the vibration you really want to have. So if you're wanting to create more money, try this, because this really worked for me. This worked for me at every different money level that I was, even though the numbers are bigger on the board. I get to raise them, and then I'm also feeling into the gratitude for seeing them raise, right? And then still seeing them remove, because that means my capacity is expanding, my energetic frequency is expanding, my ability to receive is also expanding. So instead of me feeling upset and stressed out by these bills getting bigger, by these bills adding up, I am grateful that my capacity has also grown to match the level in which these expenses have hit.